Good afternoon, fellow Christians. I wanted to come to you with a message that God has given to me. Um, and, it wasn't even 5 minutes before I just pressed record that he led me to the book of Jeremiah, and he was really dealing me on the subject. And the message that I have for you today is to stay in your lane. And it's to stay in your lane. We are living in a time where there's evil all around us. We're living in a time where there's chaos and confusion throughout the land. And I know it takes time. A lot of people worry. I know a lot of people are focusing on what others are doing. But I want to encourage you to stay in your lane and live righteously. All right, so we're going to be coming out of Jeremiah in the King James Version. And we're going to come out of the Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, verse 7 and 8. And it says in the 7th verse, "And I said after she had done all these things, Turn thou unto me. But she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it." And verse 8 it says, "And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but also went and played the harlot also." And so all this is saying is that if you're gonna understand this, understand that Judah and Israel, right? They're two different precincts, I would say. So Judah, right? God is dealing with Judah at the moment because God said that I have already put Israel away. In other words, I've already judged and condemned Israel, like I have for like what the 100th time throughout the Bible. I have put away Israel, and it's symbolic because He said I gave them a bill of divorce. You see what I'm saying? And so He's like, I've seen the actions of Israel, and I have put them away. But God is especially mad at Judah because He's saying, you saw Israel's actions. In other words, you witnessed what they were doing, and you saw that my favor was not upon them. Yet it said you went and played the harlot also. In other words, you did the same thing. And beloved, here I'm here to tell y'all that we see all this sin going on. And we as a church, we always say it. This world is full of sin. This world is full of evil. But we partake in the same sin. Just because we don't go out and murder folk, just because we don't go out and destroy property, just because we don't go out and do all this crazy stuff, doesn't mean that God isn't angry with you for lying, for fornicating, for talking to another person while you're married, thinking that that's okay. God is saying that God looks at all sin the same. Sin is sin to God, and sin separates you from God. That's why it says the prayers of the righteous availeth much. We need to understand that we are living in an evil world, and the Bible says to live in the world, not of it. So if we are true Christians, we need to understand that the world is going to do what the world is going to do. We need to not have fear, because the Bible says that He did not give us the spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. We cannot possibly say we are Christians and we are the church when we see the evil going on and we ourselves are full of sin. And that is all I have to share with you today, because I'm noticing that we're judging the world, but the church is dirty itself. And a lot of people say, well, we're not perfect. Of course, if we were perfect, Jesus would never have to come and die on the cross. But the point is, God says to be perfect, for I am perfect. In other words, to strive, right? In other words, that since you are saved by grace, to follow the commandments and live a life that's pleasing to Him. Because what does it say in 1 John? It says that if you say you love the Lord and you don't follow His commandments, you're a liar. So enough with this I'm not perfect stuff. Enough with just looking at the world. Enough with the judgment. Let's live a life that's pleasing to the Lord despite what the world is doing. And only then can we be the city that sits on the hill and the light that's not under the bed.